Hey, it's Joe Crump. This is the last video in this series on how to analyze deals. Appreciate you listening to them and putting up with my sometimes convoluted reasoning on some of these things, but I've been doing this for a long time, and there's reasons that we do everything that we do. I think if you walk away with the idea that, or with the understanding of the things that make sense as an investor, the things that you can do, and if you just get an inkling of this process, you can get started. You can make this stuff happen. So the question now is, what do you do next? How do you get the ball rolling? How do you start finding these properties? How do you automate the process so you've got a real business that you can get your fingers around, and you can start making some money, and you can build up and automate and then outsource the work and do only a small portion of the work, just the things that make you the money, and then have that serve you for the rest of your life, and then be able to pass that on to the ones you love, to your children and to your family and to the other people that you love, and be able to have a good quality of life while you're doing it. This business is a lot of fun, and if you'll do it, if you follow through with it, you can have a great life. So many people have a lot of fear about these things because they look at these deals, they try to analyze them, and they don't know, if it's going to be a good deal. And then they decide, well, it looks like a good deal. These numbers seem to work. I don't know this, and this. These are the unknowns, but I'm going to take a chance on that. So they reach into their pocket and they start spending money, or they go get some credit, or they try to make an offer and the seller laughs at them because they say, oh, you listen to that late night guru on TV and you're trying to do these zero down deals, because they didn't know how to present the offer. They didn't know how to look at the seller and say, this is why it makes sense for you. This is how we can make a solution to your problem. This is what we can do for you and how we can get you out of the situation you're in right now. And when you can do that for people, first of all, it's a lot of fun because you get a lot of positive energy back from them, and it makes this business a lot more fun when people hug you after a transaction is done rather than being angry with you because you ripped them off. There's too many people out there that are teaching techniques where you have to go out and screw some old lady out of her inheritance for her kids by ripping off all her equity in her home. You don't have to do that. You can still make money doing it. The properties that I bought under value, I tell them there are other options. I say, well, you don't have to take this low of a price. What if you did this or did this? Would something like that make sense? And invariably, whenever I bought under market value like that, those people will say to me, no, I just want to sell it. I just want to get out of it. I'm happy to take this money. It's enough for me. Sure, I'd like to make more, but I understand you don't pay more for that. And I want to sell it now, and you're willing to buy it, go for it. And I'll buy that property. But I want them to know exactly what they're getting into when they do it. And if you run your business that way, if you find sort of that ethical balance beam that you walk on, and you treat people right, it'll create the viability of a long-term business, a business that you can do in your neighborhood and in your state and in the country. You can do this from anywhere. You could do this from the beach. I could do this from the moon if I had a cell phone and oxygen up there. But you can do this from anywhere. I've got people that have done this from the UK, from Australia, Canada, Mexico, the Philippines. I had some guy in southern, 900 miles south of Perth in the BP oil fields doing this. I mean, this works. Most of real estate law was created in 14th century England. So all of our laws about deeds and how you hold property work about the same way. And sometimes they're called differently. We call them attorneys. England, they call them solicitors. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. And you can learn those minor changes, and you can change your documents slightly to fit the language. But what matters is if you understand the concepts of how to use loans, how to transfer loans, how to structure zero-down deals, how to buy properties dramatically under market value, how to work with investors, how to do all those things, how to automate the process, how to market, how to use the internet and the tools that are available now that were not available when I started. These are amazing tools, and I've learned over the years, a lot of them I've learned from my own students. I've learned more from my students than I've learned from any other real estate guru out there. And beyond that, I've probably learned more from my own experiences than from anything else that I've done as well. So if you get into this process, learn from my experiences, learn from my students' experiences, learn the things that work from the people that are doing them, and you can do very well in this business. I would encourage you to go to pushbuttonmethod.com and look at the home study program that I've got. Or if you're interested in being mentored by me, I've got a 6-month mentor program. I'd love to work with you on that as well. You can go to zerodowninvesting.com and you can read all about that. There's also a video that I recorded where they did an interview with me. It's at joecrump.com/partner. I'll try to put it up here on the thing here. If you go take a look at that, you'll see a video on that. And there's some other links there to interviews with some of my students who tell you exactly how they put their businesses together, how they made money, how long it took them to get going. And I think that those things would be valuable because you can model after the things that they've done as well. And you can also see that this stuff is real. These people are real. It's not pie in the sky. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you do the work, I guarantee you'll make money. I've never had anybody who followed through with the system the way I teach it, do the work and not make money. But I've had plenty of people who got into my program and started, but then stopped before they were successful. They gave up and they didn't follow through with what I taught. And if you don't do the work, I guarantee you won't make a dime. So follow through with the process. Also, give yourself time to succeed at it. I tell everybody, give yourself 4 to 6 months before you can expect to make any money at all when you get into my mentor program. Now, I got people that do it in 2 weeks. Actually, that's not that uncommon. They'll make money immediately. But they're the exception, not the rule. So don't put yourself under that kind of stress. If what I find is if people do that, then they, after 3, 4 weeks, they start getting discouraged and thinking, oh, it's not going to happen. When in fact, they're getting closer and closer each time they do the work to being able to be more successful at it. There is a learning curve to this, and it does take a little bit of time. But if you give yourself the time to do it, it's not like it takes 4 years of college. It's not like taking 9 years to get a medical degree. You can make more than a doctor in your first year than a doctor does after they've been through 9 years of medical school. I've seen it happen many, many times. So if you want to do this, and you work a lot less hours, you can do this in 8 to 10 hours a week, part-time, just to get started. And then once you get started and you're able to replace your income, which you should be able to do, and by the way, the average person that comes into this program is probably making about $70,000 a year. I have people that are unemployed that come into the program that can't even afford to stay in the hotel that we're at, where we have our 2-day events, and they sleep in their car. I mean, that's dedication. And I used to tell people, oh no, you probably don't want to spend the money on that. You need to put food on the table. But it was something they wanted to do, and if they want to do it and they're willing to follow through and they're willing to take that leap, it's no different than what I did when I had no food on the table. Because when things crashed for me, I think I've probably told you my story before. So I'm willing to work with those people. I also get people in the program that have, the attorneys, the doctors. I've had jet fighter pilots in the program, people that high-income people, medical sales people that are making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. I've had these people in my program that wanted a different life. They didn't want to work 90 hours a week anymore. They didn't want to work at the stressful job that they had. They wanted to switch over to something where they could be their own boss, work at home, work from any location that they wanted to, be able to travel, be able to be with their family, be able to have the quality of life that they wanted, and to be able to do it in 20, 30, 40 hours a week. And it's very possible to do that. Now, as you get started, the more you do this, you're going to be working longer hours at the beginning. At the very beginning, you're only going to work short hours because you're probably going to be working full-time at another job. So you work short hours, maybe 8, 10 hours a week. If you devote that to it, then you're going to start making money. And after, you know, a few months, you start making some money. And then after a few more months, you end up where in 8 or 10 hours a week, you've replaced your income at your regular job. Then you start thinking, maybe I should quit that job. So you quit that job, and then you start putting 20 hours a week in, or 30 hours a week, or 40 hours a week at the real estate business. And your business doubles and triples and quadruples. And now, instead of making, you know, $50,000, $60,000 a year, you're making $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 a year as a real estate investor or more. And you're starting to build a portfolio because you're going to keep some of those properties. And, you know, a year goes by, 2 years goes by, you have $1 million, $2 million worth of property in your portfolio, and now you've got some substance. Now it's going to take a while to pay off the property that's in your portfolio. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not 100% equity you put in there. But you've set up a structure so that within a period of years, you're going to have that asset. And when you retire, that asset's going to be there for you, paying you monthly, every month, like clockwork, for the rest of your life. And for the rest of your kids' life, if you keep it. And if you keep it forever, you don't have to pay taxes on it. So there's some really nice things that you can do with this. I could talk on and on about this program and about the folks that I'm working with and the pleasure that I get out of seeing people succeed. You know, I'm in this to make money. I sell this program to make money. I make no bones about that. Never tried to hide that. But I get a kick out of it too, and I enjoy working with people. And if you're one of those people that has an entrepreneurial spirit, that is willing to go for their dream, that is willing to invest, maybe push a little bit harder, you know, financially than they think they should, be able to take those chances and to do this stuff and get involved. I'd love to work with you. If you're interested, give me a call. I'll be happy to talk to you about it. First, go to my website and read about the mentor program, zerodowninvesting.com. You might want to look at the site about the 2-day buying event as well. There's a little video on that at joecrump.com/2day. Go take a look at that as well. And then when you've looked at that, and if you're interested in getting involved and you have the resources to do it, give me a call. I don't do this on spec. You know, I don't let you come and then pay out of your profits. I've got so many people that would have liked to have done it that way. And I don't think that it makes sense for my business model to do it that way. But I do have payment plans to make it easier to do it. I know it's a $10,000 program, but you can start with as little as $2,000 if you get the right discounts and do it the way that I show you how to do it on the website, and we can get you started. So I won't take any more of your time. I appreciate you listening, and hopefully we'll get a new video series started about another topic very soon. Thanks now. Bye-bye.